Hey guys, sorry I'm going so late. I changed what I was gonna do my discussion on today, and that threw off everything. I've been wanting to talk about this for a little bit since I watched it. Like a month ago. There's a show on Netflix. It's a Korean drama called Bad and Crazy. And it's not sci-fi or fantasy. It's just a like mystery detective thriller type. And it has some like mysterious elements that have like the potential to turn into something fantastical, but it doesn't. But the show says some interesting things about heroism that were nice to see in a production that is on Netflix, and it reminded me a lot of the sorts of things that are said thematically about heroism by a lot of the indies that I review, particularly in the Superversive and Iron Age group. So I thought that I would use it as a launching point to talk about those. Hi to Patrick and my husband David. He says I should aim the camera down a bit. I don't. It's not letting me. I'm gonna futz with this now. Well, unscrew the handle a little bit. Which one? There's like 2 or 3 knobs. David used this for streaming earlier this week, about like part of his project. So he transported the setup over to his computer, and his project is really cool. And I think he's coming to help me. I can hear him. So if you're interested in programming or just listening to keyboard noises, thank you.
Does that look better?
That looks a lot better. Thank you.
This is what controls how tight it is.
Oh, okay.
Right. I tightened it up because I didn't want it to be bouncing around. But
sure. Okay. All right. Super professional. It appears that I also left my notebook upstairs, so I'm going to be winging it here. Okay. So usually with the Signal, I start out with news items from indie authors that we've reviewed. Don't have too much that's actually being released right now. So I just have this. Oh, thanks, babe. I just have this one article that sort of gathered everyone's plans for this year. So I'm super excited about that. Just looking at all of the things that are going to be happening this year and thinking about the way that some stories are going to be continuing and other stories are going to be starting. It's just really exciting for me. Patrick brings up our book Perhaps This Christmas, which I should shill. Should take the opportunity. He's absolutely right. You don't have to wait until next Christmas. It's sci-fi fantasy stories that are Christmas themed, have Christmas elements. So as long as you don't mind Santa being one of the main characters, you're just gonna love it any time of the year. So that's the only other news sort of thing that I have. Upcoming review, I have Blood Pressure by Joseph L. Kellogg, and I try not to spoil too much of the book in this kind of, heads up blurb. I will be posting a long form review that's a little more spoilate. So Blood Pressure is a suspenseful urban fantasy set in a world of magic tech and unique fantasy race types. Usually when we think urban fantasy, we think Dresden Files, or, like, to give an indie example, Declan Finn's St. Tommy series. But this one is more fantastical. It's not set in a real city, if that makes sense, or at least not one that we would recognize. So that setting is like very intriguing to me, and I really enjoyed that build out for the story. My second item in my top 3 is like that paranormal thriller aspect. I thought that the mystery was well done, and the detective side of that, and of course the thriller part. And then the third one is the positive takes on modern themes. We had some elements of racial tension, and also the main character has a physical disability, and so those two elements could be taken very woke, if you will, very easily, and have been. I've actually just recently read another indie with a main character who had a disability, and it was just it couldn't work because it was trying so hard to make a point. Whereas Kellogg's does a really nice thing with that is like a universally applicable sort of theme, and you don't feel like the main character is any sort of token. It feels very genuine, like a real conversation that you, as the reader, are being taken seriously and not lectured at. So that was really like refreshing. So even before I release my full review, I recommend you guys check this one out. Okay, so gonna just dive right into my thoughts about Bad and Crazy. This was a fun Korean drama. I really enjoyed it. I watch a lot of more foreign TV just because they seem to be a few years back, where the agenda isn't quite so heavy-handed, and it doesn't get in the way of storytelling. Bad and Crazy was saying some very unique things in sort of the traditional media sphere as far as heroism, and I would like to talk about them a little bit. So the main character is, and I'm going to butcher pronunciation here, Ryu Suyol, and he's smart, and he's calculating, and he's ambitious. He's also pretty money focused. So he's kind of a dirty cop type. So his character starts out quite negative, but he also has these positive, like, redeemable traits. You get the sense that he is doing a lot of what these sort of immoral sorts of bribes and promotion chasing, uh, partly because he wants to give back to his family, who adopted him. So he has this sort of redeemable feel to him right off from the get-go. And you sympathize with him even though he's uh, got this regrettable lifestyle. And then he meets this uh, crazy person who rides a motorcycle. And it turns out that this person who is like this sort of heroic vigilante who's just getting in his way for like the first 5 or 6 episodes is actually a split personality of his. And so, and it's cast by a completely different actor. So it was a lot of fun, the way that they interact. So that character is called Kay, and he says that he's a hero, and that's his identity. He has a irreverence and a sincerity and a positive, upbeat attitude that's really engaging for the audience, and you like him right away. And the way that he interacts with Suyo is positive. The two of them clash at first, but it's because of Suyol's lifestyle that is not right, which contradicts Kay's heroic goals. But through the course of the story, they work together to solve the mystery, and their goals become more aligned, largely because Kay is Suyo, he can do things sort of behind his back, like donate all of his ill-gotten gains to charity. So those are some really fun things are going on there, and they're sort of setting up this relationship to be one that the audience really likes and wants to succeed. They want Kay to be a good guy. So as the story progresses, and spoiler alert, right? I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings here, but the show casts Kay's identity and his motivations into doubt by casting his origins into doubt. And you begin to wonder if he's actually the bad guy. I don't think it's a major spoiler to say that, well, that's not how it turns out to be. Because they want it to be something that you worry about, but the writers of the show did not feel the need to sort of like betray the audience by saying, okay, we've made you want this thing, and now we're going to say, no, it's actually the opposite. And oh, don't you just love the feels, right? Like, and the reason that would have been an unfortunate storyline is because Kay is a hero. And that would have changed what the story was saying about heroism. Instead, we get some really positive things said about heroes, like heroes exist and you can be a hero. If they had taken the story in a different direction, those two things would have been not things that the story was saying. They would have been saying the opposite. Heroes don't really exist. They're actually villains, and they're just pretending, or they are or unaware that they're bad people. And once that misunderstanding is rectified, then they'll realize that they're not heroes, and that's the end of that. And the other theme of you could be a hero would have been like, no, you can't, because heroes don't exist. Even if you try to do the right thing, because you're a bad person, you can't be a hero. So those two themes are not themes that we see a lot in Western traditional media. So I was really excited about that. And I see that a lot in indie fiction, and I thought it would be really fun to talk about some of the indies that I've reviewed that have these very similar themes. I just wanted to mention that part of Bad and Crazy, what in addition to those two themes about heroism, what is a hero in Bad and Crazy is very much protecting the weak and proactively fighting evil, or bad people, and also doing what is right and good. So Suyol is, in Kei's mind, someone who is bad because he doesn't do the right thing, not just because he is not just the bad guy who's doing bad things is the bad guy. Suyol is also a bad person because he has all of this bribe money that he, that's like a relatively small infraction compared to, mass murder. I should take my hands off the keys so I'm not flipping through the slides here. But it's still not doing the right thing. So that was another element that I wanted to mention before I got into the indie alternatives. Because my point here is not that you should go watch Bad and Crazy. My point is to say that this show was saying something really interesting about heroism. And if you enjoyed the show, here's other places that you can find those same sorts of themes. And of course, you're welcome to spend your time watching the show. I did. But here's other places, other forms of entertainment, ways that you can support creatives more directly, that if you enjoy the show, you might also enjoy. So no particular order to these slides. Some of them I've used before, and so the order is just irrelevant. Dawn of the Broken Sword by Kitsun Shea. And this one, his idea of heroism is, again, very much rooted in personal responsibility, doing the right thing, and also diligence, continuously working to improve yourself. Dawn of the Broken Sword is a cultivation novel, so it has those themes of following through on and building upon your skills and your what do they call it in cultivation? Your leveling. It's not the same thing as a like lit RPG, but it's that same sort of idea. And I'm sure Jay would shake his head and be like, "What are you even talking about?" But so the idea of heroism here is, again, rooted in doing the right thing and doing good. Light into Another World. This one I wanted to highlight because it has a refreshing take on heroism in isekai, where the stakes are higher than normal isekai due to the fact that the main character believes and has brought over with him his personal convictions and his faith, that there's a reason that he's there and that there's something that he's supposed to do. It sort of gives it an additional weight to everything. that doesn't exist in normal isekai. So that is another one that I wanted to bring up. The Crimson Spark. This one is another one that is where heroism is linked to doing the right thing. The characters have an out, they're victims, but their trajectory is to not to wallow in that, but to move from victimhood to proactively helping others by doing the right thing. In Darkness Cast, this one has more of a discussion about what heroism is because of the two main characters. One of them is an evil sorcerer and one is a heroic knight, and they have different ideas about what heroism looks like, and they clash over that. So that one's got more of a discussion about heroism, not just the way that heroism is portrayed in the story. The Mummy of Monte Cristo by J. Trevor Robinson. This one has a similar thing to like the Crimson Spark, which I was talking about, where the main character goes from vengeance to justice, to being the one who enacts vengeance to being the one who enacts justice. And I would say that relates to Bad and Crazy because of the backstory that I don't want to get into too much, because I don't want to get into spoilers. But there is definitely some vengeance going on there. Drosselmeyer, Curse of the Rat King by Paul Thompson. Drosselmeyer has a really great emphasis on that protecting and providing aspect of heroism, where he actually makes sure to juxtapose it where the providing comes first. So the sort of vengeance and violence, fighting against evil very corporally, is sort of justified by the fact that he had already taken responsibility for the people that he was protecting in that manner by providing for them and protecting them in other ways. So that one's got an interesting discussion about what are the responsibilities of a hero sort of outside that like justice fight, punch the bad guy type, of your typical heroic acts in stories. Jiaotus Endeavor, The Kidnapped Mouseling by Donald Jacob Wheatfold. This one is, again, the hero is defined by a moral code and honorable behavior. So doing the right thing and doing good, but also having a clear sense of what that looks like because you have a code. Kay has an idea that's sort of similar to that. Jiaotu's code involves being diligent again, following through and sticking to his beliefs and his code, even when his code is being used to manipulate him, which I think is important. An important element that we don't often see, but it happens a couple times in the story enough to be a thematic element for this story. The Governess of Greenmere by Paul Leon. This is one that I reviewed just recently. The main character has a desire to return to heroism, which I think is apt because we feel that way, particularly in the Iron Age movement, and indies in general. Right now, there's a greater push to go back to heroism being a genuine thing. So the main character's desire in this one for heroism turns into her own behavior. She follows through by being heroic, and then she gets additional responsibilities that she then follows through on. Let Sleeping Gods Lie. This one has a little bit of a different element that I wanted to touch on. The hero, even though this is like a Western, the hero isn't like an American superhero hero where he doesn't stay after he's saved the community. He has roots there, and he has future plans there. So that sort of idea of roots in the community, even though this is a frontier story, the part of being a hero is not just sweeping through and fixing things, but a sort of continuous living pattern, which I think is an interesting element that I've seen more in indies than in traditional media. I think as far as Bad and Crazy goes, we sort of get some of that because of his commitment to his family. Penance by Paula Ritchie. Once again, we have personal responsibility and proactive behavior, proactively going after the right thing, changing your behavior to be a better person. Penance is a YA fiction story. So she is going from a child to an adult, and you see that in her commitment to taking responsibility of her own actions, and as a hero, Penance, the story of Penance emphasizes that personal responsibility aspect again. So I think that we're probably going to see that a lot here. And maybe it needs to be said that often, just because we haven't seen it for so long. The Devil's Dictum by Frederick Hero Heimbach. This one is a little bit different because the story is all about a United States founded by pirates. So there's a lot of immoral behavior going on. The main character is defined by integrity. So once again, you have a hero who has an idea of a moral code, even though he's like a typical bad person, like he's an assassin, sort of similar to Suyol in Bad and Crazy. He has this redeemable feel to him, and part of it is that idea that he does know what's right and wrong, and his commitment to doing the right thing is sort of what makes him heroic. For Suyol, that's embodied in K. Heroes Medal, the series by PJ Marquis. I think that this one, again, has some really nice elements of roots, especially the second one has the incorporated a bit more. These heroes are not islands. They're not unconnected with the people that they are saving. They're not orphans, or in the sense of like they don't have any like support or family or connections with other people that are close like that. in particular with Heroes Metal, and with Bad and Crazy, you have families that aren't necessarily perfect, but the main character is committed to working on on being a family, which I think is an interesting aspect of heroism that is it's been neglected, particularly in American stories, because of the prevalence of the American superhero myth. The Last Ancestor by Alexander Helene. This one is again about doing the right thing. And although the main character's father is deceased, he has a mother and a sister. So he has those connections, like I've been saying. And he also has a positive heritage from his father about the doing the right thing and about behaving heroically. So I think this one kind of embodies both of those, of the main thematic things that I'm seeing as far as what makes a hero through all of these. The doing the right thing and the connections in the community, and the this one also, the third thing, the moral code, because the main character is a Christian. So, and then I think all of these would have that same foundational premise as Bad and Crazy, that heroes exist and that you can be a hero. I think that those are important to be reinserting into our cultural mythology conversation, our foundational societal myths, that doing the right thing isn't futile, that even if you are a broken person, you can still make a difference, and that if you need help, you're not alone. When you need to be redeemed, you have there is the possibility that you can be saved by a hero, not just in a sort of abstract way, but also in a sort of faith in our community restoring sort of way, where we as a community say, I'm going to be doing the right thing and helping other people. And when I need help, I can trust that other people are going to be having that same sort of mindset. And I think that stories inform that. So I think it's really important that we have stories that talk about heroism and what is heroism. So I was really excited to see that in Bad and Crazy, and to be able to point to additional examples of stories that are doing that exact thing. I think that's all I wanted to say about this. So I'm going to point you guys to support indies. Let me know if you guys are interested in any particular shows or movies or whatever, or trad pub books that I can do this kind of thing for. If you're looking at a particular theme or element, genre, like I did for The Sandman, that you would like to know where you can get that, but in indie, and I'll try and help you out. And as always, you can go to parapsispress.com for positive reviews. Everything on there is positive. And feel free to browse without any spoilers, and you'll know that that's good stuff. Or you can actually open up a review and deep dive in. It can get a little spoilery, but you will know whether or not that one's for you. Thank you to Jeff and Patrick who are here so late. I really appreciate you guys. Sci-fi and fantasy deals with heroism a lot. So if there's a book that I have reviewed that didn't get mentioned, I'm sorry. Let me know in the comments. And if there's something that I haven't reviewed that you think I should, you can leave that in the comments as well. All right. You guys have a great night.